Hi, guys, and welcome back to episode 13. We are here with the beautiful Bella Cherie in the building again for part two of the live
Thank you.
diary of Bella Cherie. Cherie, welcome back! Thank you for coming back to the show. So, today we want to talk about co parenting. What you got for us today?
Hmm. You want me to start from the beginning?
Yep, start from the beginning, let the people know.
So I'll start. Can we
Let's do
start
it like
over?
this. No, we gonna do this thing right now. How was your childhood growing up?
um, I was I was a bubbly child. I would say. I smiled a lot. Like that's how a lot of people know me still to this day is by my smile.
Your smile, yeah, your
Yeah, I
smile
got
is
this
everything.
this ugly smile.
No, you don't.
Like I be looking Chinese and stuff. Please.
She be looking
It's
Chinese.
alright. But yeah, man, I was a tomboy. I always liked to hang around all the boys. I wanted to play football, basketball.
Okay.
Like I love my female cousins and stuff, but I love being around the boys. It was just I was more comfortable that way, and a lot of people don't know this, but I used to want to be a boy.
Really?
Like I
Say
hated.
that louder. Say that
I
louder.
used to want to be a boy. Like I hated being a girl. I don't know. It's just too much came with a girl. I got
Right.
my period when I was 10,
Mhm.
and that was hectic.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's just too much you gotta do. Like I want to just get up. I didn't want to do my hair and stuff like this. I
Right.
used to before I even knew what gay was. Like I would wear my sports bras and
Mhm.
ask my mother to buy me like a certain size. So I always got a size small,
Right.
just so my chest can match in. Like I hated wearing underwear and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. I was real tomboyish.
Wow.
But other than that, I was I was pretty good until I think after my father died. And I think that's when that took a that like really did something to me.
Right.
Just I don't know. I think I was kind of like I felt invisible then
Hmm.
with him going because I was like a daddy's girl,
Mhm.
and I never felt like even though I knew like my cousins and my aunts and my mother and stuff loved me, I just felt like I was an outcast. Like I didn't fit in no more because a part of me was like it was gone,
Mm.
and so I spent a lot of time in a closet,
Wow.
like in a closet, just always had a notebook somewhere around, and I would just write down my thoughts and feelings. And no, nobody ever like realized I was
Wow.
always in a closet.
Wow.
And I guess that was another part of making me feel invisible because it's like, damn, I'm sitting here. Like,
Mhm.
nobody gonna come check on me.
Right.
They
Right.
ain't gonna say where,
Right.
they not gonna ask where I'm at. But that, I don't know, that was like a hard time in my life. And I never like expressed how I felt after he passed away because I guess like nobody ever asked
Right.
how I felt.
Okay. Yes.
So I kept it in because I didn't feel like people cared. I guess when you're little, they don't think it affects you as much.
Right. Right. Especially when
So
you're young.
yeah, it was it was a hard time for me. But that right there, losing my father, it I think that's when I stopped like believing in myself because he used to hype me up and stuff.
Wow.
And I don't feel like I ever had since then like no real support until I got like until I became an adult.
Okay.
So as a child, I don't feel like I ever really got the support that I wanted or needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was into sports. I played basketball. I was a cheerleader. I was in dance. I was in drama. I wanted to play football, but they wouldn't let me.
Mm-hmm.
I was in I think that was it. Band, chorus, and I used to look out in the audience, and it's like it was no one there from my family,
Mm.
but all my friends' family was there.
Mm.
So I went like my life of thinking throughout my life of thinking I wasn't good enough.
Mm.
And I didn't believe in myself as much. And I'm like, I know people had jobs and they had other things they had to do, but I'm like, no one ever showed up.
Right.
When
Right.
I kept, asking myself, well, I can't be that good. Like, I thought I was good, but it's like, I can't be that good if
Right.
nobody ever showed up. Like, why are everybody else, parents or cousins or grandparents here?
Coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of like messed me up throughout life of thinking I was never good enough. So
Mm.
I would talk myself out of stuff, even though I always felt like I was creative and that I was intelligent. It's just hard. It was hard to believe in myself, knowing that no one ever showed up.
Right.
So I grew up looking for guidance, and the fact that I don't know any of my grandparents, don't have a relationship with them. I don't have a close bond with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My biological father, don't have a relationship with him. So it was like throughout life, I just wanted to be seen
Mm.
and noticed. And although I know I had people that cared for me and loved me, it's just
Right.
it wasn't in the way I felt like I needed it
Right.
throughout. You know what I mean?
I
Going
get it.
throughout life and the things that I've been through, and I think that's why I end up hanging around the wrong people,
Mm-hmm.
getting in, relationships,
Mm-hmm.
looking for, that father figure. And it's like the whole time all I wanted was just one of my parents or somebody that reminded me of them to just like grab my hand and just be like, come on, let me show you the ropes. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I ever got that. So when it came to me having children, I never wanted my kids to feel how I felt.
Right.
So I made sure like I was always there for them in anything they wanted to get in, and made sure at least when they look out in that audience, they will see like me or their father, just somebody from the family to know that they
Mm-hmm.
are supported, even if it's just one person.
Right. That's
That
right.
one person will make like a big difference. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yes.
So that was like hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then friends, I had friends when I got older that was supportive. Some probably when I was younger. It's a lot of parts in my life that I like literally blocked out,
Mm.
like completely blocked it out. And so, yeah, when it came to friends, I felt like an outcast then because I felt like I wasn't as good as everybody else
Mm.
either. Because I'm like, why aren't people supporting me how they supporting
Right.
them, and why
Right.
aren't they supporting me how I'm supporting them, and how
Right.
they
Right. 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 Right.
supporting
Right.
each
Exactly.
other? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of bothered me,
Mm.
and I kind of struggled, and I think it came from a lot of not having that close bond with neither one of my parents.
Right.
Even though I know my mother loved me and cared for me, but I don't think. I think she did the best she could do with
Mm.
what she knew because her parents died when she was young. She had me when she
Right.
was young.
Right.
So I think, and she's the baby of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she did the best she can do, but not having that bond,
Mm-hmm.
like when I had children, I didn't know how to have that bond with my kids.
Right.
And I don't remember, and I'm not saying it never happened, but I don't remember my family being like real affectionate
Mm-hmm.
and saying I love you. I don't remember hearing that from like my mother or my aunts and uncles and cousins. I don't remember people being affectionate with each
Right.
other.
Right.
So when I had children,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to bond with my kids. Like I didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
as much as I knew I loved them, I didn't know how to love them. And my daughter, she would come every day and just hug me and hug me and hug me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it felt so uncomfortable.
Right.
As much as I knew I loved her, but in front of people, I would force myself to hug her because I didn't want people to think that I didn't love my kids.
Right. Right.
Because I know I did, but it's just, I never remember getting that, so it didn't feel right. Like it was easier for me to hug a stranger on the street
Mm.
and tell them I love them than it was my kids. But I don't know. It really bothered me, and I was like, I never want my kids to feel like they don't matter or they're not loved and they're not supported. So
Mm-hmm.
I worked hard on being more affectionate.
Right.
And my daughter, that is like my angel.
Mm-hmm.
Like every night she would come in my room and she would lay in the bed with me and she would hold my hand and she'd be like, "Mom, I'm finna pray for us.
Oh,
I'm finna pray for us," because I stopped believing in God like years ago. Because I'm
really?
like, why would He bring somebody into my life that I felt so loved by
Mm-hmm.
and just take them away?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like my father died when I was 10, so I was like, why would He do that to a child? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would I be molested? Why would I be raped? Why would I be beat?
Yeah.
Why would this man, He allow this man to try to kill me? And so I stopped believing in Him, but my daughter would come in the room and pray every night for me.
Mm.
And I never asked her to. She just
She
would
just
do
come.
it. And every day, I think she knew like what I needed
Mm.
because she would always, no matter, like every time she tried to give me a hug, I would kind of like back up some because
Mm-hmm.
it was uncomfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But she would do it every day
Mm.
throughout the day.
That was God.
And then she would always say like I love you, and still to this
Mm-hmm.
day she do it all the time. And it's like she knew what I needed, and I don't know if this was like an out of body experience
Mm-hmm.
I had, but I remember one day she came into the room and she was like, "I just want you to know your daddy love you. And he looking down on you and he said that you're gonna be okay and that he proud of you." And so in that moment, like I saw my daughter as me.
Wow.
I saw me and my daughter and her as my mother. And she was just hugging on me and just saying all these things that I wish my mother would have said to me and giving me that feeling of everything I wanted to feel from my mother. And she gave it to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, it's like I was okay
Mm-hmm.
if I never had that bond again because my daughter gave that to me.
Wow.
And from that moment, I just promised myself and I made a promise to my kids like I'm going to always be there for them. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
always support them.
Right.
And now I just, what I mean? I love on them
Yeah.
all the
Absolutely.
time.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't think they ever knew how hard it was for me to be that way with them.
Mm-hmm.
But it, I don't know.
But they love
That
you.
right there, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
really, it really did something to me. Of not having those bonds
Yes.
and not having what I
Affection.
needed
Mm-hmm.
from my parents and not
Mm-hmm.
to like bash my mother because I think she was a good mother.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I didn't have what I needed in the
Mm-hmm.
moment that I needed it.
Right.
And I don't think she was able to give it to me because she might have not gotten it, you know what I mean, from her
Right.
parents.
That's true.
And
That's true.
it's sad that I don't know anything about my mother.
Wow.
Like she never shared her life, so I don't know what she went through. I don't know nothing about my grandparents. You
Did
know what I
you
mean?
ever ask her? I mean, have you sat and talked to her? Like, just ask random questions?
I've asked her questions, like hearing out. She kind of like just get off her topic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, she don't like sharing much,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't I don't know anything about her except for like she was a great dancer and a great cheerleader, and that's about
Mm-hmm.
all that I can tell you.
Right.
And it's sad. It's it's sad because then I feel like I'll never really know who I am because I don't know anything about both of my parents. I don't know anything about my grandparents. So I feel like it's just a piece of me that's gonna always be missing.
Right. Do you think she will ever open up? Or if you were to come to her today, do you think she will ever open up or just have that talk with you?
That I don't know.
Have you tried?
Not in a long time.
I think you should try
I
it
kind
again.
of just like gave up on it. I love people where they at. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
Because I get how some people, again, I don't know what she went through
Mhm.
or what type of life she had, but I just how I blocked some of my life out. Maybe she did the same thing. I don't that
Yeah. And it could be.
I don't know,
Yeah. It could be.
but I know it just made me feel like no matter how much I work on myself,
Mhm.
that I'll never like know who I am and where I came from. You know what I mean?
I
But that
understand.
feeling I always wanted to have when it come to having that bond with her, my daughter gave me that.
Mm.
My daughter gave me that. Like my kids, they gave me like so much, and I appreciate them and I love them, and I owe them. I owe them my life.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like we bring kids into this world and we tell them and get mad at them for not doing certain stuff,
Right.
and it's like, well, I done made these sacrifices, but it's like they don't owe us anything. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They
They
ain't asked
don't.
to be here. We brought
Mhm.
them into this world.
Mhm.
I owe them everything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because they taught me how to be the woman. They taught me how to be a mother. They taught me self love. They taught me how to have confidence
Yeah.
and be more supportive. And my son taught me how to see like the good in people.
Mhm.
Because we would have these conversations, and I could be mad at somebody, and I'll talk to him about it sometimes, and he'll be like, "Well, did you ever ask them like why they that way?"
Mhm.
And I'm like, "That's a good question,
Wow.
because then maybe, I really don't have a reason to be mad at them.
Mm.
You know what I mean?" And that made me start questioning myself, like, why am I this way? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
why I'm always quick to look for the negative and not the
Right. The
positive. But it's
positive.
like that's all I felt like I mostly had was just negative. Losing
Mhm.
my father,
Mhm.
then being molested,
Yeah.
then being raped, then being beat, then being about killed. And it's like having them was something to look forward to.
Mhm.
And they was the positive. And that's what kept me going because it was a few times where I just was like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired. I watch my mother struggle
Mhm.
and I watch her be disrespected. And it's like, I never wanted my kids to see that
Mhm.
when it came to me.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just learned to have like a close bond with them
Mhm.
and try to be open with them because I held a lot in. It's a lot of things I didn't want them to know happened to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I try to be as open with them as I can. But watching my mother, like I was that kid, that nosy little kid that had to know everything. So I would be listening at the door or listening to phone
Mhm.
conversations. So I was
Yeah.
that child that always knew what was going on, with no matter how hard you tried to hide it.
Mhm.
And it was like I don't want to go through that. I don't want my kids
Yeah.
seeing that. I don't want to be disrespected in such a
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To make me feel less of myself. And so, I, I don't know. They saved my life. They saved my life because there's plenty of times where I tried to kill myself.
Mm.
And just them crossing my mind of like, look how much they done taught you.
Right.
And look how much they done gave you.
Yeah.
Like they gave you a life.
Yeah.
So why would you want to take that away from them? They gave you everything you needed and everything you've been praying for.
Right.
And even though it didn't come from the people I wanted it to,
Right. It came from
it
your heart.
came, it came from the people who who meant the most to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love it.
they saved my life.
Wow. Guys, we're going to come back. We're going to take a quick break and we'll talk soon. Hi, guys, and we're back from our break with the beautiful Bella Cherie and the live diary of Bella Cherie, part 2. Cherie was talking about, your life growing up. So, how is it co parenting with your kid's father with all this, going on?
Um, in the beginning, we didn't do so well.
Mm-hmm.
That 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 relationship was like another
Right.
tragic thing
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
That is, we met when I was 19. I believe he was 26,
Okay.
and we was together for 13 years. And that breakup was hard,
Mm-hmm.
but needed.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 13 years, we didn't have, we had more bad moments
Okay.
than good moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate them all because that relationship taught me some of the most valuable lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And he, as much stuff as we went through, like he's a dope guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I still like love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to the breakup and co-parenting, I don't know. It was hard. Like we wasn't seeing eye to eye on a lot of
Right,
stuff,
right, right, right. Mm-hmm.
and so I kind of gave him a little help. Like I wasn't that woman that kept the kids away. I never did that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the fact that so soon after the breakup,
Mm-hmm.
it was someone else,
Wow.
and it's like I knew it was gonna turn into something serious,
Right.
and so I think I had that fear of losing my kids to another woman, and I know it sounds crazy, but I was afraid that I wasn't a good enough parent,
Mm.
and that I knew they would be around this woman and spend time with this woman. It's like,
Right.
but what if I didn't do a good enough job, and they not like love me no more? You know what I mean? And so it was more of that than him being with someone that didn't bother me. It was more so me feeling like I'm losing my kids,
Mm.
and I couldn't lose nobody else.
Right. Right.
And in my head, that's what I thought what
Mm-hmm.
happened. So it's like, nah, I just wanted them to myself, and although I didn't know it was right, I wanted them to myself.
Yes.
And sharing them with another woman after, because in my head I'm thinking like, I carried them.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the pain. You know what I mean? These are
Right.
my
Your
kids.
kids. Yeah.
I don't want. I didn't mind them like liking who their father was with, but I didn't want them loving her because it's like they wouldn't have enough love for me, and
Mm.
all I've been my whole life is not feeling love. You know what I mean? But again, that was in my head. You know,
Right.
even though I know
Right. You took it back to
I
your
feel
child.
like I did a good
Right.
job, and they
Right.
remind me how good of a job I did with them. It was hard, but now, you know, we had a great space, and it took it took a few years
Mm-hmm.
for us to get here,
Well, good.
but I appreciate. And this is how I know like I grown up,
Mm-hmm.
because I appreciate her being in a life and for loving on my kids and caring for my kids. And I think it's like a beautiful thing
Mm.
when a woman can accept your kids and do right by them. And so I appreciate her for that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, you know, we never really had a sit down, a conversation.
Right.
And how the situation happened, it just made me not want to get to know her.
Mm.
And not want to respect her,
Mm-hmm.
because you know I always look at it as I'm a woman first and I'm a mother.
Right.
So
Right.
there's certain things that I wouldn't do because I am a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and so I didn't think, the older I got, I didn't think it was fair to judge
Right.
and
Right.
not have that one-on-one conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just going off of how the situation happened. And sometimes, you know, women get into situations and you only have that one-sided story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? From
That's true.
that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people had like a bad perception of me.
Okay.
And I wasn't like the one to prove like who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel like I owed anybody no explanations about stuff. But I'm grateful for it now.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
love like the both of them. I still really barely know her, but
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it because my kids love her, so I'm gonna love her. You know what I mean?
That's good. It's all a part
And
of
she
growth.
treat them good. So
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to even say that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's growth.
I grown up.
Yes, that's growth.
You know what I mean? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that young girl no more because I
Mm-hmm.
was young. And I wasn't good with expressing how I feel. And I wasn't good with being able to control my emotions. Because, you know, just everything I've been through, I was always quick to just act out and act out. And
Right.
I think that was another way of how people came with their perception of me. Because
Mm-hmm.
you do something or you say something that I feel is disrespectful, it's like I'm just lashing out. And
Right.
it's like, it wasn't no thinking about it before I acted. It's like, no, I'm just finna act on it because I'm tired of being
Mm-hmm.
tried. I've been tried my whole life.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't feel seen, that was the only way. It's like, you gonna see me now. Because
Yeah.
now I'm finna fuck somebody up.
Right.
Or I'm finna cuss somebody out and I'm finna
Mm-hmm.
do something. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, but once I saw how she loved on my kids, that like changed everything. Yeah. It changed everything, and I'm glad now because they're now living with their father,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a hard decision for me because once again I was like, I'm losing my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all I have. And then I looked at my son being a teenager. You know, I was single, so it's like they saw me and their father, even though they was young, they saw us like arguing a lot. You know what I mean? It wasn't much love being shown,
Mm-hmm.
love and affection. And I remember me as a child not seeing that much of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want my kids to grow up how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was considering it, but they father like put that pressure on me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a conversation with my kids, you know, asking them how would they feel if they go live with them. Because I wanted them to know like I wasn't giving up on them. Because
Right.
to me, that was me giving up on them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure like they knew that I loved them and I wasn't giving up on them if I did, you know, decide to let them go live with their father. And after having a conversation with them, and my son was like, well, Mom, you did a good job. He was like, you've been taking care of us all these years since my daddy turned. Let my daddy have a turn.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter reminds me every day of how great of a mother I am. So that, like, helped me just go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, all right, as long as they know, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I ain't never want them to have a doubt in my mind, in their minds, that I didn't love them.
Right.
And I didn't do everything I can to make sure that they're protected
Mm-hmm.
and they're loved and supported. So that helped out, and I just, you know, I appreciate their father from even stepping up, and not that he was a bad father, but from doing more, even more, you know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And I see how happy it also made him and how he needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew my son needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also wanted them to see what it is to be in a loving environment where two people love each other, because they didn't see much of that from being their father.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a single mother
Mm-hmm.
for all these years, so I wanted them to have that feeling and that vision of what love is, because I knew I couldn't give it to them.
Mm. Oh, you're doing a great job. A great job.
But now it's like we had a great place,
Good.
and I'm glad that I made that decision, because it also helped me step out my comfort zone, because I used it as a clutch a lot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because I had a fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had a fear that I wasn't good enough. And anytime I wanted to do something, I would talk myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I can't do this. I have the kids. Or I can't go here because I had the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was about my kids.
Yep.
And I wasn't living.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't living my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing stuff that I wanted to do.
Right.
Because I was too focused on my kids. And it's like, nah, you need a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need a break. And it's okay as a parent to take a break.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not giving up. And I had to realize that, and I just had to take my personal feelings out of the situation. And that was hard, because it's like, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I'm hurt. And it's like, why nobody not getting
Mm-hmm.
that I'm hurt? And it's not that I ever used my kids, you know what I mean, when it came to their father,
Mm-hmm.
or to be spiteful or for revenge. I never did any of that. But it's like, why can't nobody get that I'm hurt?
Right.
You know what I mean? Until I had a talk with my brother Solio and my sisters, Brenda and Lashaya, and they explained some stuff to me, and I was like, yeah, you got to take your personal feelings out of it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to block
Mm-hmm.
my kids from having things that I didn't have, because I knew how that made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to block that from them. So once I was able to put my personal feelings aside, it's like, I saw myself growing and flourishing, and
Mm-hmm.
now, you know, like, I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I'm doing stuff that I love, which is art and writing, and, you know what I mean, just creating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it was so bad after all. Like, I was, you know, in my head too
Mm-hmm.
much. But again, I was looking for guidance. Like, my kids was guiding me throughout
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I lose that, like, shit, I'm going to be back to start one, like,
Right.
not loving myself,
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to be here, not wanting to share my love. You know what I mean? They taught me how to love. They taught me how to receive love. Because I would just say it, like, I love you, and not really know if I love you or not. I just knew it was good to say
To
it
say it. Mm-hmm.
to people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was good to hear, but it's like I was empty. I was empty. I didn't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be in these relationships and not feel nothing, and I wanted to feel something. You know what I mean?
Mm. That's deep.
And I would convince myself, like, I love this person. But it's like, I didn't even know what it was.
Right. I'm just saying it because it sounds good.
Because all the people that said they loved me, like, hurt me. So it's like, this is love. Like,
Mm.
I was so numb of what I thought was love. It's like, no matter what you did, I would just be like, okay, I love you too.
Mm.
But I knew I didn't feel anything.
Right.
And I knew that wasn't fair to them, because of the fact that I held so much in and I never really opened up and shared things. It's like, that's not fair to them, that they ain't even getting to fool you, and they don't even know how empty you feel, and that you don't even have no feeling in you.
Mm.
And so again, thanks to my kids for teaching me and showing me, like, what love is. So I owe that, like, all to them. And I get Like, I get why they're in my life, and I get, like, why I'm their mother. You know what I mean? I understand now. Because for a long time, it was like, why am I here?
Right.
What's my purpose? Like, nobody will pay me no attention. Nobody will listen to me. I'd heard shut up so many. It's like, that's all I used to hear from just plenty of people. Like, just shut up, because I'm always talking. And that was the time when I was younger, where I was, you know what I mean, able to express myself, and it ain't mine to express myself. I'll take an ass whooping, like I'm gonna say what I need to say. And after my father died, I kind of like just shut down. Like, I would have fun, you know, being with my cousins and stuff, but it was like nobody really know how I feel, and nobody never even bothered to ask. They never bothered to ask. And now it's like, I'm seeing, you know what I mean? Even if it's not by the people I would like it to be, but it's like now I'm finally able to see myself in, I don't know, it feels good. So I'm like, these not like tears of sadness.
Right,
you know
right.
It's just tears of joy, because finally, like, I feel like I can breathe and I can live. And I can really be whoever it is that I'm supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? If none of that stuff wouldn't have happened to me, or if I wouldn't have had these kids, like, I would have took myself out a long time ago. Like, I tried several times. And I wasn't even good at that shit. So that's why I'm like, I ain't gonna never be good at shit. I ain't even good at taking myself out.
Wow, because it's not meant for you.
And it made me realize, like, you got to be here for a reason. You know what I mean? Whoever created me, they created me for a reason. And I feel like I'm getting closer to figuring it out. You know what I mean? I guess I don't know, but I feel like something's gonna happen.
Right.
I can feel it. I don't know what it is, but yeah. I don't know, man.
This is amazing. So what would you tell your younger self now? Everything you've been through, what would you say to her now?
I will just, I don't know, tell her how dope she is, and like how loved she is, and how special she is, and how empowering she is, how inspiring she is. Just like you always, you know what I mean? You always had it in you. And I don't know, just, you know what I mean? I would tell her, you know, to love on herself as much as she can, and not try to be in her head so much. Because we also can hold ourselves back from things, and that we got to understand that everybody's different. Everybody sees stuff differently. Everybody perceives stuff differently. And that nothing is ever really personal. You know what I mean? It's never personal. We take it personal.
We do.
And we get in our heads, and we put fear in ourselves, just like we put fear in our children.
Right.
And that's another reason why I'm glad I made the decision to let our children go stay with their father, because it's like I was going to be that parent that put my fear into my children. Like my son, I would just baby him up and baby him up. And you know what I mean? I was putting my fear on him. I didn't want him to play basketball, because I'm like, a lot of people in my family, they got hurt. You know, I'm from Miami, so they all about football. I'm like, but a lot of them got hurt. A lot of this. So no, I don't want you playing that. That's too dangerous. Or I don't want you doing this. And it's like, he like, Mom, I can do it. You know what I mean? It's like, I was going to mess him up. I was going to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that he checked me. I checked myself, and his father checked me. Because I would be the reason why he wouldn't be able to be the man that he could be. Just not saying he have to be like hard and in the streets and doing all this stuff to be a man. You know what I mean? But it was gonna be things that I couldn't teach him or give him that he can only get from his father. So yeah, I'm glad I did that.
I'm glad you did.
And my daughter needs to see, like a need to have that vision of a man loving on a woman. You know what I mean? I ain't have no man, so
Right.
I couldn't give them that vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to like say thank you to their older brother's mother, Shay. She loved on them as well. So that, I don't know, they get everything I wish I had, but I got it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's so dope.
it came later on down the line, and that's okay. So shit take time.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Cherie, thank you so much for coming through with this live diary, which I think is so dope. Guys, I want y'all to stay tuned for part 3. We will give y'all the date soon. Again, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you can get more notifications. Guys, we'll talk soon. Thank you for tuning in.